Next problem. The forecast below is for an option item. So the company maintains a safety stock of 25 units. Complete the MRP and determine the inventory on hand at the end of period 10. In the given problem, we have to find what is the on-hand inventory at the end of the week. Okay, this is the problem what they have given. So basically this problem we are solving under MRP, right? So here in the given problem, they have given order quantity as 60 units. What is the meaning of it? So whenever you are going to place an order, you will be receiving 60 units. So lead time is 2 weeks. What is the meaning of it? Whenever you are going to place an order, in order to realize the order, it requires 2 weeks. If you place an order now, after 2 weeks, you are going to realize, you are going to receive the order. That is the meaning. So safety stock in the problem they have given as 25 units. It means to say, so in your inventory, you have to maintain 25 units. That is the meaning of safety stocks. So here projected gross requirement. So projected gross requirement is the demand. So here in this problem they have given up to 10 weeks. So for the 10 weeks they have given the demands. Say for the first week they have given as 20, for the second week 20, and for the third week 20, and so on. For the 10th week they have given as 45 units. Next is receipt. So that comes under schedule as well as planned receipts. So here in the second week we have 60. What is the meaning of it? So you had already placed an order. So in the second week you are going to receive how much? 60 units you are going to receive. So whenever you are going to place an order, you are going to receive how many units? 60 units. So you had already planned well in advance. So in the second week you are going to receive how many? 60 units. So available on hand at the end of the period, that is 50. Available on hand, it means you have inventory. The stock that is available in the organization is 50 units. So planned order release. So planned order release, so we shall find out how to calculate this planned order release, how we are going to plan well in advance. So this is the problem. In this problem we have to find out how many number of stocks that are available in the 10th week. Okay, so how to proceed with this type of problem? So in this problem they have given up to 10 weeks and the respective demands they have given and the receipt that they have given, and the availability on hand they have given as 50. So how you are going to proceed? On hand availability you have 50 units. So once you satisfy the weekly demand, that is on the first week, so 50 minus 20, that gives 30. Correct? 50 minus 20. Why? Because on hand you have 50 units and you are satisfying the demand on week 1, that is the demand that is required in week 1 is 20. So 50 minus 20, that is 30 units. So you have to remember one thing, the safety stock. You have to keep one thing in your mind, the safety stock should be 25 units. So it has crossed 25 units, so not a problem. So we shall move on to the next week. In the next week the demand is 20 and on hand you have only 30 units. So if 30 minus 20, that gives how much? That gives 10 units. That gives 10 units. But in the receipt you have how many units? How many units you have? You have 60 units. So 60 plus 10, that is how much? So now on hand availability you have how many units? You have 70 units. I hope this is clear. So here 30 minus 20, that is 10, and In the second week, you have received how many number of units? You have received 60 units. That means to say 10 plus 60, that is 70. So we shall move further. For the second week, the number of units you have 70. So for the third week, the demand is 20. So 70 minus 20, that gives how much? That gives 50 units. That gives 50 units. Moving further, 50 minus 30, that is how much? 50 minus 30 is how much? Is 20. Now you have to make sure that your safety stock should be 25 units at any cost. So here, since you have only 20 units, so you have to place an order, right? I mean to say, you have to receive 60 units in the fourth week. 60 units you have to receive in the fourth week. So why 60? Whenever you are going to place an order, you are going to receive how many units? 60 units. So means to say, in the fourth week, you have to receive 60 units. Why? Because of the safety stock. It is not satisfying the safety stocks. Safety stock. Okay. So here, on hand availability, how much you will have? So here you will be having 60 plus 20, that is 80. So in the fourth week, you will be having 80 units. So moving further, 80 minus 20, that gives 60 units. Okay, it is satisfying the safety stock. Again, 60 minus 20, that is 40. 40 minus 20, that is how much? That is 20. It is not satisfying the safety stock. So you have to receive 60 units in the seventh week. So this is 620 plus 60, that gives 80. So on hand you have 80 units here. 80 minus 55. 80 minus 55 is 25. Okay. So 25 plus 55, that is 80. Okay. So again 25, it is satisfying. Okay. If you move further, in the ninth week, you will be falling short. Why? Because, so here you will be having how many units? Here you will be having only 5 units. Why? Because 25 minus 20, that gives 5. So in the week 9, you should have 60 units. So mean to say 5 plus 60, that is 65 units on hand. So again 65 minus 45, 20 units. That gives how many units? That gives 20 units. And again, this 20 units, it is not satisfying your safety stock. So you need to place an order in the 10th week, that is 20 plus 60, that is 80 units. This is how you need to solve the problem. So here the inventory at the 10th week, you have 80 units. Okay. So next, coming to the planned order release. What is the meaning of planned order release? So whenever you are going to plan, I mean well in advance, see here in this same problem, so in the fourth week you have to receive how many units? You have to receive 60 units, correct? So this 60 units, make sure that your lead time they have given as 2 weeks. So means to say, whenever you are going to place an order, it requires 2 weeks to receive a particular product. So you have to plan well in advance. So here on the fourth week, you should receive 60 units. It means to say the lead time they have given as 2 weeks. From here, leaving this fourth week, 1, 2. So means to say at week 2, in week 2 if you place an order, you are going to receive the number of units in week 4. I hope this is clear. So in week 7, you should have 60 units. The lead time they have given as 2 weeks. So means to say 1 and 2. If you place an order in the week 5, you are going to realize the order in week 7. Okay, again coming back to week 9. So here in week 9, so it is how much? 2 weeks. Lead time is 2 weeks. So 1 and 2. I need to place an order in week 7 in order to realize the order in week 9. Again, in the 10th week, you should have 60 units. So lead time they have given us 2 weeks. So 9 and 8. So if you place an order in the week 8, you are going to realize the order in week 10. So this is how you need to solve the problem. So that completes the problem. So here you just need to understand one thing, lead time. So whenever you are going to place an order, so it means to say it requires so much time to manufacture a particular product. Say for example, I am placing an order, so it requires a particular component. Say for that particular component, it requires 2 weeks to manufacture that particular product. So that is what the lead time. It means whenever you are placing an order, so you will receive the order after 2 weeks. That is the lead time. And make sure that the safety stock, it matters a lot, because that is what the inventory that has to be available on hand during a particular week. So if the safety stock, if it is less, then you can't proceed further for the manufacturing parts, right? So make sure that the safety stock, it has to be 25 units. So if there is no 25 units, you can't proceed further. So while calculating this safety stock, you have to keep in mind that is 25 units. And one more thing is the availability on hand. So this was the stock that was available in the organization. This was the stock that was available in the premises, correct? So it was how many units? It was 50 units. So this receipt, so you had order, you had order already, and in the second week you are going to receive. This 60 is not available in the organization. This you are going to receive in the second week. That is what the receipt meaning, okay? So and one more thing, planned order release. So obviously you know how to find out this planned order release. So planned order release, since we require the 60 units in week 4, so you have to place an order 2 weeks before because of the lead time. That is what, okay? And in the question they have given, so what is the inventory in the week 10? So considering this problem, the inventory in the week 10 is how many units? Is 80 units. That is what the answer, you have to write it, okay? You have to write the inventory that is available in the week 10 is how many units? How many units you got it? You got it as 80 units. Is 80 units. This is what the solution to the problem. I hope the problem is clear to you. Complete the material requirement plan shown below and find the amount of inventory on hand at the end of week 8. We shall solve one more problem where they have not given safety stock. So in the similar lines, we need to solve this problem. So the order quantity they have given us 500 units. So it means whenever you are placing an order, you are going to receive how many units? 500 units. Lead time in this problem they have given us 4 weeks. The projected requirements means to say the demand, weekly demand they have given. So for first week they have given 150, for the second week 150, and so on. If you go for the 8th week, it is 320 units. So the receipt they have given us 500. In the 3rd week you are going to receive how many units? 500 units in the week 3. So on hand availability, you have how many units? You have 300 units. So this is the units that are available in the inventory. That is what? On hand availability. Planned order release, we shall solve it. How exactly to solve this type of problems? In the similar lines we need to solve it, but in this problem they have not given any safety stock. Okay, you can have an inventory of zero levels also, like if you don't have any inventory also, not a problem. Okay, so how to solve this problem? So on hand you have how many units? You have 300 units, correct? So 300 minus 150, that gives how many units? So here you have 150 units. So in the week 2 the demand is 150, so 150 minus 150, so here it can be how many? It can be 0 units. Why? Because here you don't have anything, right? So it is satisfying the demand for the second week. So it is satisfying how much? It is satisfying the demand, right? So 150 minus 150, that is 0. Next, here you have on hand how many? 500 units. 500 minus 150, that gives how many units? 350 units, correct? 350 units. So 350 minus 150, here you will be having 200 units. So 200 minus 200, here you don't have any units, right? So here you should have 500 units in the week 6. So 500 minus 200, here you will have 300. So 300 minus 180, here you have 120 units. So again, here on hand you have 120 units, but the demand for the week 8 is 320. So here you should have 500 units. Okay, so 120 plus 500 minus 320, that gives how many number of units? 300 units. So after completion this, so in the 6th week you should have 500 units, and in the 8th week you should have 500 units. So here in this problem, the lead time they have given as 4 weeks, right? So if the lead time they have given as 4 weeks, so here leaving this particular week, on the 6th week, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you place an order in week 2, you are going to receive in week 6. So again in the week 8, you should have 500 units. So here 1, 2, 3, 4. So here if you place an order, you are going to realize in week 8. So in the problem what they have asked how many number of units that are available in the week 8. So what will be the answer? So the answer is 300 units. So how can you write? The inventory that is available in week 8 is 300 units. 300 units. This is how you need to solve the problem. Okay. So moving further, this is the output that has been generated from MRP, that is material requirement planning. In the previous lectures we discussed about the various inputs to MRP. So what will be the outputs to MRP? So the outputs to MRP, so we shall discuss now. Okay. So here you have what? You have material requirement planning, correct? So here you have material requirement planning, correct? So the inputs for the material requirement planning we discussed in the previous class. So what were the inputs? So it was master production schedule. This was inputs to MRP. So what is the second input to MRP? It is bill of material. So bill of material. This was the second input to MRP. The third input to MRP is inventory file. inventory file or inventory data. Okay, these three were inputs to MRP, right? So master production schedule, bill of material and inventory file. So MPS, what exactly MPS it tells? It schedules the lead times, how much time that is required in order to manufacture a particular component. That is what MPS, right? So in bill of material, it gives the detail about the component. Say for example, in a master production schedule, it just tells how many number of quantities you need to manufacture. Say if I consider an example of wooden chair, right? So if I want to manufacture 100 number of wooden chairs, so here master production schedule, it just tells what are all the quantities. So in case of bill of material, it tells in detail how many number of wood that is required, what are the adhesive that is required, how many number of nails that is required, how many number of cushion that is required, how many number of clothing material that is required. So it tells in detail, that is in case of bill of material. So in case of inventory file, inventory status file, it tells how many number of units that are available in the premises. That is what the inventory status file, correct? So these three are the inputs to MRP. Again, the inputs to MPS we have based on the customer orders or based on the sales forecast. So that those things are the inputs to MRP. Those things are the inputs to MPS. So what is the outputs to MRP now? So outputs to MRP is basically the report that is generated in a similar way. So here you can able to see this is the report. So by seeing this report, you can tell, okay, so suppose if I place an order in week 2 and considering the various lead times, I am going to realize the order in week 6. So basically the outputs to MRP, so the outputs to MRP will be the reports that is generated. So that reports, it helps for the organization to plan and to execute their operations. That is what the outputs, okay. So what are all the outputs to MRP? So the outputs to MRP, it is order release, so basically order release is nothing but, say whenever you are going to place an order, say we have in an organization, we have the purchase department. So in order to procure material from the outside vendor, so purchase department, they will going to place an order, these many quantities that is required for the manufacture of a particular component. So basically here in order release, it might be a purchase department that are placing an order from the outside the organization. So that is what the order release. Okay, so for if there is a shortage of material in-house, you have to procure material in case of in your inventory. Okay, that all comes under this order release. So next is what? Next is order rescheduling. So what is order rescheduling? Say now you have if there are any changes in the production plan, you have to reschedule the orders which you have placed. So again, the MRP, it understands, so it understands based on the inputs and it will generate a report. That is what order rescheduling. If you want to change the orders, like if you want to if there are any changes in the order, if you want to reschedule the order, if you want to reschedule the planned order, that all comes under this order rescheduling. Next is planned order release. So what is this planned order release? So here you can see here in the planned order release what we have done. So in the 4th week, we have placed an order in order to realize in the 8th week. So well in advance, we are going to plan it in order to realize the number of units, those many number of units that is required. That is what planned order release. So you are going to plan well in advance in order to realize so many number of quantities. So the main intention of this MRP is, so you have to, it means you should have a right quantity of material at the right time. Okay, that is what the main objective of this MRP. So in order to realize a right quantity of products at the right time and at the right place, So that is what the motto of this MRP. So I repeat, the outputs of MRP is what? Order release, order rescheduling, and planned order release. So basically the output that has been generated from this MRP, it looks similar to this. It is a complete report that helps the management to take decisions. That is what the output that is generated from MRP. I hope the inputs and MRP, the inputs to MRP and the outputs of MRP is clear enough, and in the next coming lectures we shall discuss about the MRP2. So here we are concerned about only the material part, material requirement planning, right? So for this material requirement planning, there are other departments that comes into picture, such as your sales department, your finance department, your marketing department, your advertisement department, every other department, the design department. So various department that comes into picture, that is somewhere interrelated to your material requirement planning. So that is what the MRP2. So we shall discuss in the next lectures.